So thank you for coming. We are here to announce the indictment and arraignment on the indictment of Brian Chiclana, a 34-year-old man who murdered two young men in the city of Buffalo back on March 4th. Mr. Chiclana has been arraigned on three counts. One count of murder in the first degree for the murders of the two men during the course of the same criminal transaction, and two separate counts of murder in the second degree, one for Jordan Salato and one for Mickey Harmon. This case came to a quick resolution, fortunately, with the great work of the Buffalo Police Department in conjunction with our office. And as you remember, we appeared in police headquarters back on March 7th to announce the initial arraignment on the charges. And then at that time, we had been actively working on the investigation. That investigation concluded its initial form in the result of this indictment by the Erie County Grand Jury. So Mr. Chiclana has appeared in front of Judge Bowler. He remains remanded by the judge, so he will remain in custody until this case is called and returned before Judge Bowler on April 21st. And at that time, we're going to hope and ask the judge for a trial schedule, a schedule which would include a trial date. And, this is, obviously a horrific case. It's been discussed. I should always say at the outset that Mr. Chiclana is presumed innocent unless and until he is determined to be guilty. And we're hoping that we can get this case expedited. I know this case was very disturbing and alarming for our community, and both Mr. Harmon and Mr. Salato had a significant presence in the Allentown community, and this is a great loss to the community. And the action by the grand jury and the announcement here today of this indictment before Judge Bowler will hopefully bring us to some closure in the criminal justice sense for our community moving forward. So happy to take any questions.
Could we talk about the possibility of a psychiatric defense that was brought up today? I know they have 30 days to do that, but how does that work, and what would that mean for this case? So, my understanding is that one of the defense attorneys has discussed this in the media before, this possibility, and so we asked the judge to comply with the statute and to order the defendant's attorneys to comply with the statute, which requires that any notice of a psychiatric defense be provided to us within 30 days of the arraignment. So the judge did that. It's my understanding that they have until April 21st to provide us that notice of a psychiatric defense, and it's going to be their decision as to whether they're going to defend this case in that way. And it's not really appropriate for me to speculate on what their intentions are or how they will make that decision, but we don't want there to be any delay in this case as a result of that decision. So that's why we asked the judge to order them to comply with the statute. So it's 30 days, Maki. But it's different from competence, right? That's not what this is.
Yeah, well, so I think what you're referring to is a 730 exam, which goes to competency, to whether or not the defendant is competent to stand trial. The defense has not asked for that, did not ask for that at the time of the initial arraignment on March 7th, meaning they did not ask for their client to be examined to determine whether he is competent to stand trial. And they have not asked that. What they're reviewing is whether there is any other psychiatric defense that they may pursue, and if they do decide to do so, they have until April 21st to notice us of that.
With how quickly this all came together, I mean, the fact that you guys were able to potentially stand trial, that was indicated today at least. What was the precipice for that? What has allowed you to be able to do that? Is it the work with the Buffalo Police Department? Is it other evidence that you can discuss today, or things like that?
Sure. So obviously I have to be careful about discussing the specifics of the evidence, but it starts with the phone call of a friend of these two young men who called the police and reported seeing a man with a knife inside of their home. and on St. Louis Place. And so that phone call prompted the Buffalo Police to respond to the scene, and that started this investigation immediately. There's a lot of evidence that is going to be introduced at trial. A lot of it is, forensic evidence. There's video evidence. I won't get into the details of that, of course, but the Buffalo Police did a very thorough job immediately responding to the scene of this crime, and Mr. Chiclana was immediately taken taken by way of ambulance because he had some superficial injuries that he was treated for at ECMC. So he was immediately transported to ECMC shortly after the Buffalo Police arrived at the scene on St. Louis Place.
I guess in basic terms, what is the difference between what happened today versus the previous arraignment in Buffalo City Court? What is, what happened then, and what is this now, and what
Sure.
happened to the initial charges for that?
So the charges are the same, okay? And the unique thing in Erie County, anyways, is that we have we have an agreement with all of the different police agencies across this county that they will not file charges or make an arrest on a homicide case without our authorization. That's not the case with other counties. It's also not the case in Erie County, where police will make arrests in the middle of the night on lower level cases, and we're not involved, and we don't even know about those cases until the next day. So on homicide cases, we're involved right away. As soon as we are notified by the police, in this case the Buffalo Police Department, that there is a homicide investigation underway, we immediately get involved. Our lawyers get involved. We assist oftentimes in the application of search warrants. We are assisting in the investigation, processing of the evidence right away. Okay, and immediately upon our involvement, we assess whether there is enough to file charges, and we want to make sure that those decisions are the right decisions. We want to make sure before a charging decision is authorized that we have proof that meets the standard beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, I'm getting a little probably too far into the weeds here, but it's different from the standard on an arrest, which is probable cause. The standard to prove someone's guilty in New York State is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So we authorized the charge early on. Upon his discharge from the Erie County Medical Center, we authorized the charge. The Buffalo Police filed the charges. We were engaged in conversations not only about the evidence but the appropriate charges. He then appears and is arraigned by Judge Hart in Buffalo City Court, and at that point we have a limited amount of time to present the case to an Erie County grand jury. And in this situation, we were already well underway in our investigation, and we presented the case to a grand jury, which then votes an indictment. Now, in New York, you cannot proceed forward to a trial on felony charges without the grand jury taking action. So that's why we go to the grand jury. We present the evidence before grand juries on felonies, and the grand jury returned an indictment. So now he's arraigned on the indictment returned by the grand jury. I know that's a long response. I don't know if that helps clear it up for you.
Absolutely.
So what's next? What happens, what is April 21st? That's
Yes.
the next one?
So
What
April
happens
21st, we're scheduled for a report back conference in front of Judge Bowler. At that time, we expect to hear whether the defense is pursuing a psychiatric defense, and if so, we will deal with that issue. But in addition to that, we're going to ask the judge for a scheduling order for motions and hearings and a trial. And of course, that's all up to the court. But we will continue with the any remaining work that needs to be done towards the investigation on this case. But we're going to be proceeding towards a trial date.
Are you still confident that this won't elevate to hate crime charges?
Yes. There's no evidence that Mr. Chiclana knew either Mr. Harmon or Mr. Soletto. There's no evidence that they knew him, and I understand that was, of course, an initial reaction. And anytime there's a specific community that's involved, and in this case, the LGBTQ plus community was involved and concerned that this might be a hate crime, and we've tried to make sure that the public is aware that there's really no evidence that that's the case. Now, on the other hand, as I think Councilman Nowakowski properly stated, as disturbing as those kinds of cases are, hate crimes, this case is also very very disturbing. It's I think to use Councilman Nowakowski's word, this is people's worst nightmare. This is a stranger, and we think the evidence is going to show that he broke into the basement through a window, and commits murders these two men in their basement, and then and it's complete stranger. So I don't know that it's any more comforting, to be honest with you, that this is not a hate crime, but I think it is important to address that and to answer the public's questions, that there's no evidence that indicates that this is a hate crime. And let me just say one more time, because it's always important, notwithstanding how I answer questions and provide information and be transparent with the public, but it is important that I say and that the public is aware that Mr. Chiclana is presumed innocent. He's presumed innocent unless and until he's convicted at trial.
Just boiling down one more time, the indictment is essentially an indication that you guys are ready to move this case to trial, that you are ready to pursue Mr. Chiclana on these charges, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and even further, so we have an obligation to file what we call a certificate of compliance. We did so in court today, which declares our readiness for trial in open court with the judge, and so that's even more. It's not just the indictment; it's actually that certificate of compliance, which is now required under New York State law and our declaration of readiness.
So does that mean all the discovery's been handed over? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
Can you just read off the charges, just so that we have?
Sure.
You're saying-
There's one count of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of murder in the second degree. As I indicated, the murder in the first degree is for the murder of both Mr. Salato and Mr. Harmon during the same criminal transaction, and the 2 separate counts of murder in the second degree are for each of their individual murders with intent to cause, with intent to kill. Mr. Chiclana murdered both of these men.
Murder 1 is like the highest charge of any possible,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and it carries with it a potential maximum sentence of life without parole.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.